Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and we have another fantastic guest today. I will introduce her in a few moments, but I want to remind you guys about our monthly events. Our monthly events are trainings. They're free. They're fantastic. And they're always, with the exception of if there's a holiday in the way, they're always the first Friday of every month at 9 a.m. October's is Sheila Kennedy, and she's going to be doing a training on how to get your media kit together. But what I really wanted to talk about today is the very special training on November 1st. I'm going to be doing it myself, and it's a platform planning. So we're getting you ready for 2025. Now, last year I did this, and it was $14.97, and I did it as a workshop. This year, I know so many people are struggling and they've got to figure out how to do things on a shoestring budget. So I'm doing the training as the monthly free training. So you'll be able to kind of gather clues about what you want, look at this past year. What did you do well? What did you not do well? Your goals for the future, crafting that 1-year vision, and then determining the next steps. And when I say determining the next steps, I'm going to have lots of forms so you can actually write down those goals and break them down into bite-sized pieces, because that's what I hear the most is you have this big vision and then you just get overwhelmed. And why wouldn't you? You're trying to run a business, write a book, publish a book. I mean, there's a lot going on, and build that platform. And that platform is that most important part to integrate all of this so it works together. So I'm going to invite you to go over to platformplanning.com. That's platformplanning.com and register. And it is at 9 a.m. Mountain Time on the first day of November. So plenty of time to digest the information, look at the forms, and get everything in place for a very smooth launch in 2025. So today's guest is actually one of our 2025 Breakthrough Author Magazine contributors. We're getting them all together early so we can just launch 2025 with a bang. Joie Gharrity is a brand consultant, video podcast content creator, and international speaker. With over 15 years of experience in the Hollywood entertainment industry, she's worked for some of the top companies in film, television, original web content, and branded entertainment. Joie was handpicked by the ABC studio president to launch the first multimedia startup business for the Walt Disney Company. Upon returning to the Bay Area, Joie was inspired to create Joie G113, where she empowers entrepreneurs to become their own superstars. Through her unique and proven red carpet guide to superstar branding and digital marketing system, she shines the spotlight on their company brands and marketplace. And her beliefs include the inner game tools such as the love capacity daily habit, enabling entrepreneurs to embrace their next level success. So welcome, Joie. Stand by for our interview. Joie, it's so great to have you.
Thank you for having me, sister. I appreciate it.
I'm excited because you and I could just talk all day. We did on your podcast pretty much too. So let's start with, you have 2 books out.
I did.
Relate to everything we're going to talk about today. So you want to talk a little bit about them and why you wrote them?
Yes, the first one I wrote because I wanted to talk about my journey in Hollywood and how I realized that down in Hollywood, influence is everything. And so it's the red carpet guide to visibility influence and how it's directly linked to your earning power. It also doubles as a guidebook. And so I reveal my secret social media marketing campaign in here, and you could just do it step by step in the first one. And then the second one is all about the inner game and how once you get rocking, you're going to have a really strong inner game. And so this also doubles as a guidebook, and it's my daily habit system. And it really relates back to how your love capacity is directly aligned to what you're going to get in life.
Oh, I love that. I love it because I feel like so many people in our business, they go in and it's all about the clicks and, how many people are following me and and that is influence. But the bigger part of influence is your personality and how you come across and you project. And, people can tell when you're real and when you're not real. And I think that's more the make it or break it in there is, are you a real person? Are you a relationship builder?
Yeah, I totally agree. And what people don't really realize about Hollywood is all about building relationships. I
Yeah.
mean, and there's some glitz to that, but that's like once a year. Like the Academy Awards are like once a year. The rest of the time it's a business. And so the way that we are taught in Hollywood how to network is all relationship build out. And if you are not a good at that, if you don't really start swimming deep in that pool, then you won't do well after a while.
And I agree with that. I used to sell real estate in Los Angeles, and I had a clientele that was in the more B actors. But it would be amazing because it wasn't something where they'd say, "Oh, go call her." I would literally have someone show up to show a house with their friend who was buying the house, to saying, "Oh, I want to make an introduction. And by the way, he's looking for a house." And it was never like a phone introduction or a text introduction. It was always very personal. I had a chance to get to know that person before they said, "Okay, when can we go look at houses?"
Oh yeah, because you have to vet everyone down there.
Oh, you have to, they do. You just don't go into it. So let's talk about that influence, because that's what you do, is help people build influence. So how did you get into that?
I went down to Hollywood twice, and the second time I was actually hiring influencers for the company I was working for, and I was looking at these influencer books. And what I realized is, because I started becoming really close with influencers and having a relationship and a business professional relationship with them, is that they were building empires by just being themselves. And so when I decided to break away from that company, I decided that I was going to build my own influence, being myself. And I was also going to wrap my brand much like a studio so that I could hand my influence to others, including my clientele. And so we know down in Hollywood that your influence is directly linked to your earning power. And so I feel very strongly in helping other people to connect that dot, but then help them connect the dots, because it can feel very overwhelming at first. But with my Hollywood background, it's not. It's very in alignment with who I am.
So let's go back to that, because I think people have the impression that you put out a video and you go viral one day and your life is made and all of a sudden you're an influencer. Let's talk about that work in the background, because that's where people don't understand that there are tools and platforms and so much. And I would say it takes a good 6 months to a year just to build that, to get going. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, absolutely. So I launched my video podcast content creator hub last year. And it took me almost a little under a year to get my YouTube channel where I wanted it to be, right? And that was a daily habit of just working on it, and just it's much like kneading bread, right? You know, and really learning the system and how it works, and hiring the right coaches, and I jumped in the deep end of the pool with that, right? So nothing is overnight. And I want to say the same thing in Hollywood. It would take us a minimum of 2 years just to get a blockbuster movie ready to go to market, right? And for those 2 years, it was like 16, 18-hour days. I feel that's the same thing when you're an entrepreneur at first. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's one of the things when I was in advertising, like everybody's like, "Oh my God, you have such a glamorous job." And it's like, have you ever been to an ad shoot? Like
Right.
it's all, and I was on a car account. So it's all about like moving that car. And it is the most boring thing you will ever do in your
True.
life. Like, how many times can we shoot the damn seats of this car?
Right? Yeah, it's the same thing on a movie
So
set.
yeah, it's the same thing with this. And that was one of the things in 2020 when the lockdowns hit. Like everybody called and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have a digital presence. I need to be up and making money this month." And you're just like,
Yeah.
well, that's not happening.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, no. That's why I'm always encourage people out there. I'm like, start now. Do it right this second. It doesn't have to be video podcasting. It doesn't have to be podcasting. I'm like, well, let me tell you, you better be growing the social media numbers. You better be showing up every single day, and you better be strategic about the way you're showing up, right? Because people right now in particular are pulling back the red curtains. They want to know who's behind who you are. what the journey is, and it better not be that it's been all butterflies and rainbows, because that's not being authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So on that, I think the key word that I picked out of all of that you just said was coaches, because it's a rare person who can actually do this on their own. I had to hire coaches along the way and learn different skills. So what kind of coaches did you have to hire?
Oh, I absolutely hired like master YouTubers.
Mhm.
Yeah. You have to invest in it, right? You got to invest the time and the energy and the money, right? My YouTube channel is by far a huge priority because it is premium real estate that, again, that I am handing to my clientele, right? And
Mhm.
so I've hired that. I'm like a master at funnels, right? Because I hired a funnel coach. But I've also hired a lot of inner game coaches. I know about human design really well because I hired design coaches, right? So anything that I find that's like really interesting, I can build a WordPress website. I hired a WordPress coach, right? You know, there's these things that when I fall in love with something along the way that I want to dive into, that's what I do. Is I hire.
Mhm. Yeah. So you guys, you have to know it's essential. I rarely have seen anybody who can do this from a book or anything, because they don't keep up with what's new. They don't keep up with the changes. So you and I were talking 2 weeks ago about the new changes on LinkedIn and is it Facebook? The sharing. So now we have a group set up. So you have to be on top of all that and know the changes, because marketing changes about every, I'd say 9 to 18 months now.
Oh yeah, it's moving really, really fast right now. I hired because I knew that I wanted to become a video podcast influencer. And so that took almost a year of me learning the deep dive of the technology, the tags, how to market, how to pre-market and all that as well. Right. And now I teach that. I train that. That's one of my packages. That's one of my VIP packages.
Yeah, that's what the same with me with learning how to do what's I going to say coursework. I spent an enormous amount of money in 1 year to learn how to create good courses. Now I help my people do that with their books, but you have to have that training, because I've seen some really bad courses. Like someone gave me one that was literally like 18 modules long. Each module was an hour. It's like, dude, nobody's going to do this.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah,
No one's
exactly.
gonna watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me about how you share, because you help people build influence by training them, but you also loan your influence, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in regards of social media, right? The hub, the content creator hub, we all share each other's shows. We know that the solopreneur with the algorithms, it's going to be very difficult moving forward. And so in essence, I built a hub community. And so we all share each other's shows during the week so we can get past the algorithms. That's one way. Another way too, as I mentioned earlier, is building out those YouTube numbers so that people don't have to build them themselves. I also do a digital magazine like yourself. That's another way that I do it. So that it's called a banana split, and I have everyone in the magazine all sharing and tagging one another.
Yeah, we do that with ours as well, which you're going to be a part of next year. But that algorithm change, do you think it's going to be permanent with LinkedIn with that sharing, or is that something they've just done for the election?
So I think that's going to be actually, I think every single platform out there will start rewarding people for being quote unquote sharing or social or kind. I think they're going to reward them because it's the only way that they can actually build out their reach, right? And their reach is about big brands, right? Big brands want real stats of like how people are communicating on side of those platforms, right? And so by sharing our content out there, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for them, and it's a great thing for us.
Yeah, when you come to that though, lost my train of thought with that question. What was I going to ask you? So when they're doing the sharing though, you have to be able to share and tag and have a group that you're doing it with to be effective, don't you? Because random people are not going to. I remember what I was going to ask you. Tell me how important analytics are in this, because I think that's where most people they don't watch their analytics, so they don't know what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. They just slap it out there and hope it's going to work.
And I get that, because everyone's built differently, right? And so if you don't like analytics out there, make sure you hire someone that does, right? I actually like to swim in analytics because it really helps me to know strategically what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So get to know the back end of all this, right? LinkedIn gives you back end analytics if you have a group, for instance, right? So you can be looking back then, and YouTube clearly it's endless analytics back there, right? But I can see it can be scary sometimes to look at your analytics, right? Because we have to be honest too and authentic. Sometimes you're going to fail. Sometimes something you think is going to go through the roof, right, doesn't do well at all. And something you didn't think was going to do well at all of a sudden goes through the roof, right? So I think it's a good check and balance. I really do.
Yeah, I think it definitely is too. So you're on YouTube. You have a big presence on YouTube. Mine's more podcasting, so my YouTube doesn't get as much view. Do you use TubeBuddy? Do you use anything like those tools that help you on there?
But you don't know, YouTube has such a robust back end studio for you now, right? I mean, they want you to be very well versed on
Mhm.
what's going on with your channel. So I'm just on the back end all the time. Like every day I'm back there.
Oh, okay. And I have TubeBuddy, which I think is $3.75 a month. It's not very expensive, just to kind of remind. But you post your own stuff on YouTube, is that correct? Because
Oh
I do.
yeah.
I have a company that does it, and then I go in and kind of rework a little bit of what they've done.
Yeah, I do. I do because there are particular tags, there's a particular style that I was taught by masters
Mhm.
of how to do it, right? And I've realized too, I've tried to teach other team members how to do it and it doesn't come easy, right? And so I just prefer to be back there. And you know what, too? I have this kind of inner game spirituality around things like this that I like to touch things with my essence. And so So that's why I don't mind doing it, right? I do the same thing with social, of course. I have Hootsuite, I have auto responders, of course I do. But I tend to like to post personally because I feel like there's an energy when I post myself that I'm putting behind things. But that's not for everyone, it's just me.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. So, have you tried Rumble at all? I just tried Rumble and I have earned money already with views. I'm kind of shocked because it's such a different dynamic than YouTube.
I have not, but I'm jumping into it because of you.
Oh, well, good. There are lots,
You
by the
mentioned
way.
Amazon, I was like, "Oh, this is something I need to jump into because I just jumped into Benable, and I started earning over there, and I'm, like, in love with Benable now.
Oh gosh, I never finished. I started after I got caught up with the Rumble, getting that up. But differences with so on YouTube, you have to get you have to hit their algorithms, certain number of hours viewed, certain number of subscribers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Rumble, it's just views. So you get paid like every 1,000 views. So
I'm
it's a
in.
different dynamic. I can't wait to run ads over there. And I'm using someone on Fiverr.com to kind of help me navigate it. So
I'm
yeah,
a huge fan of Fiverr.
yeah, I am a huge, for those of you out there that are not using, because I know a lot of my clients, I introduce them, it's FIV as in Victor, ERR.com. You can find anything. Although I have to laugh. I just saw this thing about get your taxes done by a Fiverr expert. I'm not sure I'd want to get my taxes done.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but, I have some team members that I will work with for as long as they're around. They're incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
we have our magazine is designed by someone over there, and she does a fabulous job. And now she knows what I want, so she'll come back to me and go, "You sure you want it that way? That's not the way you usually do it," which is nice.
It's
So
really great. Yeah, that's a great resource.
yeah, it definitely is. So tell us, what are you going to teach us this year in the magazine? What kind of things are we going to hear from you so you can improve our influence?
Yeah, so I'm going to lead a lot about things like video podcasting around face recognition around that and how important it is and how the video is only going to gain speed. That's only going to gain speed. We talk a lot about niche marketing around influence, around niche communities build outs, right? And also too, I'm going to be sharing my signature strategies, particularly on social media about how you can build your influence faster by creating an influence community within there that is all agreed to share for one another, etc.
Yes. And that's what, for those of you who don't know, we've already set up. We haven't done anything with it yet. I'm waiting to announce the 2025 people, but we're starting to add people in the group to share our own content because all of us, pretty much all of the magazine people have content that is shared in some way. So, how did you do? Because I think this is one thing authors don't understand. Content is 100% a must to
Yeah.
build your influence.
Yeah.
So, where would you start with that as someone who's building influence? Would you say video they have to start, they have to get comfortable with, or where would you start?
I got to tell you, like the way I built my influence was off the back of my blogs. I love writing and I like to be creative and I like to share my experiences a lot. So I blog every week. And it's because of my blogs I have my two books. My blogs actually helped establish my unique point of view around. And so because I'm so disciplined and I do drop a blog every week, right? It really helped me and it helped the marketplace to emotionally connect with me because they're very authentic. I'm talking about my ups and my downs and my experiences out there. And so I'm a huge fan of blogging. I think blogging is alive and well. I do.
You guys, I want you to hear that because she just told you a very easy way to write your book. Now, I don't do it with the blogs. I create a course, I teach the course, and then I make the course into a book.
Oh,
So
that's
I do it a little bit backwards when I get, but still, there's no one way to do this.
yeah, no,
So,
I love your way too. Yeah. Yeah, the blogs and from the blogs, right? I repurpose the blogs and I'm grabbing more content from it, my quotes, because I put tips, tools, strategies, resources in there, right? And so blogs turn into articles for me too. And from the articles, right, those turn into other content components, right? I have workbooks, right? Because I started with as simple as a blog. Listen, my blogs are only a couple paragraphs too. They're not extensive, right? They're just my way of just talking about where I'm at. So my last blog, I just went ziplining. And so my blog was all about like how I was facing my fear one zip line at a time, right? But inside of there, I'm talking about two major strategies that people can implement right now, right? On a daily habit, right? That they can goal set from and that they can win, right? And so this is how I extend my content out.
oh, that's great. I repurpose. Do you ever repurpose, like write your blogs from your videos?
I do. I do. So a lot of my shows have turned into blogs, right? And then, to take it a step further, not only do they turn into blogs, but we're about to drop an ebook, right? Because it's all based from the shows, the video content shows itself, right?
So what do you do with that? Do you choose like a theme? Because I know you run yours differently. You run yours in seasons, mine's ongoing, evergreen. So do you plan in advance? Like this season's going to be about content and then take those blogs and consolidate them into an ebook? Is it that strategic or
So I have a content hub, right? And so that hub is sitting on my premium real estate on YouTube, right? What I do is because the way that I teach how to do video podcasting is I have a system. That system is very organized. Because we're so organized, I'm able to come up with a theme, go into the actual system itself, and pull out all the tools and resources like that.
okay, yeah, that's great. I have similar, but probably not as organized as yours. That's what my
No,
new assistant is working.
I'm sure your life is organized.
It is. I use Notion to do it, but sometimes I'm the one that forgets to do the input. Doesn't thrill my staff, let me tell you. So Joey, where can we find you if we want to work with you for someone without who's your ideal client? Who are you looking for?
I love entrepreneurs, men and women who want to jump cliffs. I love people that make decisions quickly and who are looking for bigger superstardom out there in the marketplace. Those are the people that are attracted to me, right? Because of my media background, right? And just the way that I function. I love people. Typically, a lot of times these entrepreneurs had a lot of success before and they started their own business
Yeah.
and they want that same level of success, right? You guys can come find me at joeyg113.com. And you can
Okay.
find me all over social media, Joie Gharrity too.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I'm looking so forward to having you as part of the magazine this year. I think my
Mhm.
people are going to learn so much from you. And you guys out there, like this is so important. Without that content, if you don't have the content and the followers, chances are you're not going to sell many books because it's just impossible to discover anyone because Amazon and all the bookstores are so big now. So you've got to build this in advance and build your audience with it as well. So Joey, thank you so much for being here today.